Folks, we'll get started here in just a second. We're just waiting for one more person to join the call here. All right, thank you all for your patience while we try to work through some technical difficulties. So welcome to the Town Hall, December 6th Town Hall. We're going to start off with two board meetings. First, it'll be the master board meeting, and then second, it'll be the condo board meeting. There's nothing on the screen for the folks online. I'm not seeing anything.
But they're seeing Pest Control it in the back.
Okay. They don't see the presentation on there? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and call the first. Oh, we got introductions first. Why am I starting this?
Okay. Budgets for Easton Park Master and then for EP condos. So introductions tonight with Brookfield, we have Mike McMillan, Matt Chase, and AJ Zorn with us. And then we also, as our board, we have Matt Chase, AJ Zorn, and then we also have Armando Rita on the phone. He could not be in person. And Allison Grotzinger is also on the board, but she is not present tonight. But we do have quorum to move forward with our board meetings. So with that, we will actually go right into our master board meeting. And the board has a little bit of business. They're going to approve some board meeting minutes and then the 2024 operating budget.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and call the Easton Park Master Board meeting to order at 6:34. We have quorum. We have two board meeting minutes. One is from August 3rd, 2022, and the other is December 7th, 2022. I'll make a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All those approve say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Next item is review and approve 2024 operating budget. Tiffany.
So on your income, we've got assessments. This is homeowner assessments and builder assessments. You've got that at $1,698,813. Enforcement revenue, that's going to be any violations, late fees, design reviews, anything like that goes into this category. That's $17,796. Property transfer, that is going to be your community enhancement fees and your working capital fees that are paid at closing. That goes into this one, it's $182,436. Programs and amenity, this is going to be sponsorship, advertisement, rental, your reservations, fitness income, that goes into that. And then the other is going to be your MUD reimbursement that we get and card access, just some minimal stuff that's in there. So our total income is $2,140,485. Your expenses, they're broken down into these categories, and I'll give a little bit more information on each one of them. Your administrative category, this is your legal, insurance, management expenses, printing, postage, things like that. That's $1,366,541. Amenity maintenance is going to be your pool contract, pool maintenance, HVAC, janitorial, things like that. That's $255,717. Utilities is water, gas, and electricity at $317,780. Grounds is your landscaping. That's your contract, your repairs, things like that. That's $1,037,263. Engagement, that is your programming as well as your holiday decorations. That's $128,745. And then reserve and capital improvement, that's your reserve contribution and also a capital improvement that we have put in this year. So that'll be at $162,540. Given your total expenses budget at $3,268,586. You can see that your expenses are greater than what your income is. So there is a loss of $1,128,101. And so with that, we're proposing a $64 a month monthly assessment. That is a $4 a month increase from last year. Board have any questions?
That percentage, why like 5%?
Right at 5%.
So those of you that have been here for a while, every year we say the same thing, expect a 5% increase. About 3 to 5% increase. The assessments are pretty low for this community. So we obviously want to continue to build that up, build up the reserves, get off the subsidy as well. But as you can see, every year we steadily increase the assessments. So I see some new faces, a lot of new faces, which is great in the audience. So if you haven't heard it before, you're hearing it for the first time, expect 3 to 5% increase every single year on assessments. With that, any questions from the board? Make a motion to approve. Can we get a second?
Second.
Motion in the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion passes. And we will close this meeting at 6:38. And we'll open the EP residential condo board meeting at 6:38. We have quorum. We have one set of meeting minutes to approve for December 7th, sorry, 2022. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Next item is review and approve 2024 operating budget. Tiffany.
And Union Village. So that is all one association that all falls underneath this. So assessments is going to be $133,056. Enforcement, $600. Other revenue is $240. And property transfer is $3,600, giving a total of $137,496. The expenses for administrative, the categories that I just went over, they fall in the exact same thing here. So your legal, insurance, management fees, printing, postage, things like that is $35,400. Landscaping is $96,096, and reserve allocation is $6,000, giving a total of $137,496. Your budget does balance. With that, while it doesn't look like there's a change to the $36 a month, there was a change just as far as your service fee. That's actually going down to 26, but your condo assessment went to 10. And that was just simply, I was able to work out some better pricing on the landscaping that was able to drop that a little bit. But because of the increase with insurance and legal expenses, it just kind of flipped it just a little bit. So you're still paying $36. It's just allocated a little different.
And then different from the master is for the condos, you won't hear me say expect a 2 to 5% increase every year. Mainly because you're no longer needing to borrow money from the developer to manage the association. So there's no subsidy there. So really the only increases you would ever really see there is if management fee went up, which, you know, probably goes up every few years. And then landscaping service is really the main driver of the assessments there, which is that special service area assessment. And And you can see we did make some significant changes a couple years ago, but that was driven from those residents in the condos asking for additional services. So any questions from the board?
No.
Nope. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the 2024 budget.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Motion passes, and we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:41. And then we'll roll here into the town hall. Armando, thank you for joining us.
Community Life team. One of the things that if y'all have been here in the past, have been here for a little bit, y'all have heard us talk about the program that we started this last year called Spark. And we actually have some members here in the audience. We completed our first year last year. We're rolling into our second year. And really and truly, this is very high level. I have to save the date up here because you're going to see some more information coming out, but we will hold an informational meeting January 10th to really kind of give a little bit more detail of what this program is about. But the Spark was actually created to really kind of expand the capacity of the participants to perform as community leaders inside Easton Park. It was designed to really and truly give an engaging experience to empower you to become the community leaders in here. It's going to go over topics like operations, governance, things like that. But it's really to kind of understand from the very beginning of how the community is created all the way to where it's going to be 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. But to understand all the roles and responsibilities in the making and who all the key players are and how you can be a part of that and how going forward, this will allow you to have the knowledge and everything to be able to continue that on going forward. So you'll see some information come out. We're going to open it up for applications. Starting in December, we will leave that open until after our class. And then the first class will actually start in February. But again, if you have any interest whatsoever, please come to the meeting and get some information, or you can shoot me an email if you're unable to attend that one. And this picture right here is some of our participants that were in our last class. We actually just graduated everyone. And yes, it does feel like it's a class sometimes, so we try not to. So then with that, I wanted to give kind of some highlights about our programming here, what we call engagement. Since our last town hall, you'll see some of the things that we have had. We've had Wicked Walk. We had approximately about 4,500 people come to this year's event. It grows every single year. We had Roots and Wings Fall Festival, Turkey Trot. We also just had Easton Made last weekend. All great events. But with this, I will say that in 2024, we had a total events and programs hosted here at Easton Park of over 300. That does include with our partners and our clubs that we have joined with, and the partners and clubs in our groups here, that was over about 240 events that they have actually put on. So there's a lot of action that's happening here. And some of our clubs and our partners that we partner up with is Optimize Daily, Austin Canine Academy, EP Sports. And then we're always kind of looking at some other opportunities. So if you ever want to get involved, this is a great way to get involved, whether it's helping volunteer set up or just be a part of it, or if you're going to have a club or a group, be a part of Explorers Day, get out there and meet your neighbors. This is, again, just another way of just getting engaged inside the community. So with that, that's all that I actually have from the Community Life team. We're wrapping up the end of the year with everything. So be on the lookout for 2025 or 2024. I cannot believe that it's already 2024. But y'all will see another calendar of events that are coming out, and then some other opportunities for you guys to get involved with some things. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to AJ for the development update. And then once we're done, we'll take some questions if we've got some time.
Before I start, I want to give a push for the Spark program. Was able to be a part of that at a couple of the sessions. I think everybody was part of it, enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. The group got to go up to Skyline Park when we first broke ground on it, and we had, beers up there, and that was like the first group that got to go up there and enjoy the park, kind of VIP experience. So I don't know what we'll do next year. I don't know. Now that I've said it out loud, don't expect it to be cool, but it's a great program, and so if you're interested, recommend you get into it. But I'll go ahead and proceed with some new news. Y'all wanted to know about some of the new developments that are coming here. So the first one is the Retreat at Easton Park. This is a multifamily that's being built by Hines. If you're not familiar with them in the industry, they are a premier multifamily builder. So we're excited that they're the ones that are building the stuff that's right behind here over in Union Park West. Right now, you can see the construction going up, but their first building they're looking to complete mid next year. On the overall plan to be done by April of 2025. So, leasing will start sometime in Q3 next year. So, that one's, everybody sees that as a bad 5, but that's what's going in there. That picture in the lower right, that's gonna be sitting right there on the pond that's out there with the trail in front and stuff. So that's, it's a great addition. And as you know, I talk about all the time, as much as everybody's always like, oh, apartments. It's like apartments are doors and doors bring commercials. So this is a really good thing to have there on the front end. And like I said, we try to team up with high-end builders. So good we have Hines here in the neighborhood. All right, next slide. Down on Finial, you'll see a lot of construction that's going on in between Finial and William Cannon. It's actually 2 different developments. The first one is BB Living in Easton Park. BB Living is an offshoot or JV or something-ish with Toll Brothers. Again, if you're not familiar with them in the industry, Toll Brothers is a good builder. And so when you see build to rent there, this is not some kind of crummy something. This is a good builder bringing a great product to here. So again, excited that we were able to offer that, because that's what we're trying to do at Easton, is hit every kind of wedge in the spectrum as far as where you're at in your life stage, what you want to pay and what kind of entry that you want for what you have. So build to rent is definitely a good wedge in that. So we're glad that we have again, a good company doing that. Their timeline, they're looking to finish up the stuff that you see out there, the horizontal component, sometime early next year. And then they'll start building houses on there as soon as possible. So those are coming in the fall. So they're going to have tri, quad, and quinplexes. That's what they're having there built to rent. And then next slide, if you go further east down Finial, then the chunk that's going to be there in between BB Living, William Cannon, Finial, and then Coda Vista that is getting built there along there is Nelson Village by David Weekley. This is going to be condos, somewhat like Union Village, somewhat like that product, and as well as duplexes. So that's going in there. So, and I just really like their badge. It's good stuff. So obviously you're in Austin, so you have to involve Willie Nelson at some point, but they're on the same timeline roughly as BB Living. Also trying to finish up somewhere between February and March of next year with the horizontal part, and then you'll start seeing all the buildings going in, hoping to offer sometime September, October next year. All right, next slide. All right, Skyline Park. This is the coolest thing that I've ever been part of. Well, I don't know. Back that off, but I've been cool. Yes. But here at Easton Park, this is spectacular. It's going to be incredible.
I'm going to play that back for you.
Like like the birth of my child.
Yeah.
Like that. So, it's fantastic. This is a drone shot that we took not too long ago. You can kind of see it's aged by the fact that the bridge is still sitting stuck in the mud over on the other side. It's not placed yet. But you'll see there right in the foreground, you'll see the large 3-story playscape. As you kind of walk, counterclockwise around, you see the small area, a small kids area, swings throughout. You see the grand lawn, the pavilion that faces that, restrooms there, pump house for a large splash pad that's kind of in between there. It's going to be a covered splash pad, just so that's those poles that you see stuck up in the air when you see there. It's going to be all shaded. And then on the west or the east side of that roundabout between them and the school is that high point. And that's where we're going to have our public art. I want to get one step further before we show pictures of that, but by the time we have the next town hall, I'm actually hoping that it's just sitting out there. So y'all will have seen it when you drive by. We're hoping to get that installed late December, but pretty incredible what's going up there. If you've been up there, you can see it's amazing, but no one should be up there No one, let me repeat that one. No one should know what the views are like other than me and people in the Spark program. So I'll get to that again, but I want to show this overview. Next slide. Just an idea of the rendering that we had and then what you actually see there. That's our, we call it the mini penny. That's a nod to the mini Backer Bridge that just got placed last week. So you're seeing that things are like coming along, kind of how we, and what you can't tell here is if you get down underneath there, you get this just prime view of skyline. So you think you'd have to be at an elevated view to have that, but it's actually when you go down there and you see it framed up by the bridge, it's pretty fantastic. So next slide. Here's a couple more construction pictures of what's going on. There were some questions of timing. So we're looking to finish this substantially by the end of this year. And then obviously we're going to punch through a lot of items to make sure it's safe and perfect for y'all. So sometime the end of January, as soon as it is open and can be used, it will be open to Easton Park residents. However, we want to do a grand opening that's befitting of something like this, where we, no kidding, advertise it to all of Austin and get people there and, you know, have the ribbon cutting we want to have. That'll be later in the spring once the weather warms up. So we're not going to have a grand opening for this in January, but it will be open to residents as soon as it's safe and ready. We're not just going to hold it back waiting for a party. There's a question about the native grass that we use around there. Are we going to stay with that? The answer is yes. And this is a statement for not only Skyline Park, but you'll see it throughout. Wherever we can, we're going to use the taller, unkept native grass. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, there's less environmental impact. Two, there's less maintenance from the HOA. Whenever Matt talks about increasing these budgets every year and stuff like that, it goes into like having to mow all the stuff. The native areas only really get touched twice a year. They're not the same as the high touch areas that are down and, you know, like a golf course. And then also just the water that we're using. You saw what the restrictions did to us. The native stuff survives that. And so we're trying to be responsible with the amount of water. We're only trying to use water in the high use areas where we want to keep it super tight. But in areas where we can have the native grass, we're going to have it. So that applies to Skyline. It happens throughout as well. You also see a lot of really tall grass, and those are in our creek areas. That's all off limit stuff as dictated by the city of Austin. So the really tall stuff, like right behind here, that we don't even touch at all. We don't maintain it, whatever, and that's by design. So when you see the native grass, it's one of those two flavors. It's either we don't touch it at all, or we've chosen to at least cut it down and kind of keep it manicured, whatever. But we're not just going around trying to sod everything. I don't think y'all want to pay those dues to pay all of that water. And then if we get into any kind of restrictions, then all of it gets scorched anyway. So that's kind of our view on that. And that's what you're going to see with those grasses. The other story on Skyline Park, there's a lot of restored and reclaimed materials. There's a lot of dirt that we took off there, and rather than just get rid of it and paying for a bunch of other stuff to come in, we actually like sifted through it and pulled out a bunch of good rock. And so all the dirt's been reclaimed, is being back used for topsoil. And then we used the rock on that project and others. And then we found a bunch of volcanic rock. Y'all know that we have Pilot Knob right up here. So there's a huge pile of rocks that we're using for various different reasons up there. So we're trying to use a lot of materials again. So you'll see a blog post of that coming to kind of further explain that. And then finally, I'm not joking about this, like, it's probably a bunch of y'all sitting here right now, but if it's not, you know, it's your neighbors. Stay out of that active construction site. There's dangerous things up there. Just because the gate is pushed open, it's like, oh, well, the gate was open. I'm telling y'all, it's off limits, okay? As things look even more and more attractive to people and their babies and their kids and stuff, I'm trying to get the perimeter pulled in a little bit tighter, with more fences that are obvious that you're not supposed to be there. But let me tell you, just stay away. It'll be open soon enough. Please do not go climb around it. I'm saying this to y'all all know, I'm like, yeah, of course we know this, AJ. I'm sure there's some of y'all that were up there, but if there's not, tell your neighbors that. And if it gets to a point where it's actually dangerous, where we can't keep people in it and they're running around there, we catch it, we will not hesitate to find people, because it's not just me, it's the contractors that are out there. They have a lot of insurance that has to go. So I hope that doesn't get to it, but there's the warning. Spread the word. Stay off the active construction sites. As soon as it's open, we'll let you know, and y'all be the first ones in. All right. Next slide. Prospect Park. I don't have good construction photos here because the work has not progressed in the amount that I would like. Next slide. There's they're the renderings. I went and took a bunch of pictures, and it's like, well, you can't see stuff because it's not there. This is moving us far along. I don't have to apologize as much on this one because right now I think we have one Prospect Park resident. So it's not like this, it's just sitting right there, but it's a slightly delayed, but we think a majority of it's going to be done by the end of the year. And there's a couple components I know are going to bleed into January. So sometime in February, this will be open to the public. It's actually fantastic. Skyline gets all the headlines, but this is a big old park and it's cool stuff there, public art, things like that. So as soon as we got better, next time we have a town hall, we'll be talking about, we just opened it, or it'll be open the next week. So it's coming soon. It's sitting in prospect. Next slide. And as far as Pilot Park, we do have residents in Pilot Park, a number of them. You'll see that there's a lot of progress that's been made along Daxton Road now, finally getting the appearance along Daxton Road looking the way it should. We had some difficulties with the contract, so it's moving along. It's night and day out there if you go out there right now. For the Signature Park, we are making progress, but when it all comes down to it, the workmanship out there is not what y'all deserve. It's not what we paid for. So we're going to get it right. So we're going to not try to push this thing through. We're going to take a little bit of delays to make sure that it's the park that y'all deserve and that we're getting the product that we want to have. But it's going to be fantastic. There was a question about, are we going to put adult swings there? Because the idea was, there's no kids there. It's all people without kids. So number one, the kids will come. Just wait. It's Easton Park. Number two, if there's no kids there, it sounds like a great place to meet with all adults. So consider it an adult playground. It's a great place for hanging out with your neighbors. Shout out to the FNDDC. You should probably establish something there in Pilot Park with all the adults. But in all honesty, there is one location that might actually lend itself to an adult swing. I'm not going to promise anything, but I'll look into it. The only downside to it is part of phase 3. So it's not something that's going to get built right away, but there is a part on small little area on top of the hill that actually would lend itself to something like that. So we'll see what we can do. That's probably the adult location. Unfortunately, a couple of years down the road from that park getting developed, but we'll look into it. And then, I have to speak to this. I know we had issues with the mailboxes. I'm speaking to y'all that are having issues with the mailboxes. I was at the post office today. I've met with the postmaster. I've met with everyone I possibly can. They've changed their processes. It's now above the local level, sitting somewhere in the government of the U.S. bureaucracy. I'm trying my best. So we'll see, as soon as we get mailboxes, we'll get them. So we're very upset about that as well, and we're trying to do what we can. So next slide. All right, other stuff in here. Union Park West Park, as well as the improvements along McKinney Falls, like in making the medians look like the medians, like kind of on William Cannon, stuff like that. Both those projects started this week. Both of them are 4 months is substantial, 5 months to completion. So by the time we have the next town hall, I'm going to have progress pictures of those for both of those projects. So again, it's pickleball, basketball, pavilion, stuff like that over in Union Park West. Like I said, the McKinney Falls, y'all might not think that's as cool, but we're going to make those medians actually look nice and look more like Easton Park out there in McKinney Falls. To go further, yes, Kiki Park's going to get a sign at Apogee and Skytex on that, that southern corner. Long story with getting an electric meter out there, so we put a light on it. That's been a delay, and we're going to get that done ASAP. So you'll see that sign soon. Union Park Village, there's a question about where are we supposed to park when we go to Union Park Village, because everything's fire lanes. There are a few parking spots for the urban homes. For the park itself, there's not parking there. The idea of our parks at Easton Park is that each neighborhood is served by a signature park, and every resident has the right to go to any other park they want to. Trust me, my family does it all the time, park hopping. But that's not necessarily, we didn't design these to have mapped parking so you get in your car and go over to another park. If you're visiting other parks, you get in the stroller, you put the dog on a leash and you walk over to it. So we're not necessarily catering to the idea of max parking at each one of the parks. The idea is it's mainly serving the people that live there. And if you do want to visit it and you want to try other parks around Easton, feel free to walk over there, but there's not necessarily the intent to have a parking lot sitting in front of each one of the parks. So that's the answer there on Union Village. Other places, there's a curb. Yeah, you can park there, but again, that's not our intent, is to have a parking lot for each signature park. The idea is it serves the neighborhoods around it. Dog park, had a couple questions here. There's no plans for me to do any improvements to the temporary dog park that's out there. Some question about rocks that are out there with sodding it. It was fully grassed out when it opened. If it gets to the point where we don't have a permanent open and it's not usable anywhere, anyhow, we'll look at maintaining it. Right now, that's not the plan. The idea is to get the permanent one out there. We have questions about the permanent one on the location. Yeah, I have places on the map circled, not sharing those with y'all. Until I land this plane and know for sure that that's where it's going to go, y'all be the first ones to know. So we don't have a permanent location definitely mapped out right now. And as far as the details of it, I got a lot of questions on this. Is it going to have mulch? Is it going to have play features? Is it going to have this? I hadn't designed it yet, but I will say that The temporary one that's out here is a good test case for us to come by on a regular basis. I talk to the people in the HOA to say like, how is this getting used? When is it getting used? Do they use those play features or do they not? You know, do we need to think about this? So this is actually really good running this through here. So this permanent one will have the things that we feel are necessary or lacking from the temporary one. Next slide. Wait, well, second amenity center, this is the cut and paste from last time. It's gonna be South Slaughter. It's gonna happen whenever we build houses down there. So that's the question I can get. As soon as we start breaking ground on neighborhood there, shortly after that, and starting to deliver houses, we'll start on the south side amenity. Next slide. There was a question of what trails we have. This is something our marketing department came up with. It's very busy. If you look at the key up at the top, like each one of these technically counts for something. Yeah, I know you're squinting. You're not meant to actually be able to decipher this. It's out there in the atmosphere. I think it's hung on one of the websites. It's very busy, but overall, you can see that there's plenty of trails there. I think the ones that everybody's excited about or anxious about is the connection between Skyline and Pilot. I greenlit that today, so I'm hoping that actually starts like before, like in the next couple of weeks, we start actually that northern connection between Skyline and Pilot Park. The southern connection between like Kiki and Pilot, that'll only happen once we build the second phase of Pilot. So those are the two next one coming, and you can't really see on the screen that well, but you'll see the yellows that are like coming soon. There's a connection that gets us underneath Slaughter to the south side. So the idea is that there is a trail system that you can no kidding get on a Bryant Park, and you can stay on a trail under, you know, through the neighborhood. And the only time you'll have to actually cross a road before you get to the south side is where you make that little crossing right over here. That is the one spot where you kind of jump over a road. And other than that, you got the spine that works all the way down the south side east, or the southern bound on the west side. There was a question about, are we going to add trails so that we can walk dogs? Man, we got trails for days, sidewalks and stuff. So I was confused. I didn't come back to ask for clarification on that, but if you're having a trouble finding a place to walk your dog, just come see me and I can point to some locations. Also, there's a question about like some of the trails along the backside of Skyline keep flood because of the ponds when they come over. That is, that's the reality of how those were designed. That's the overflow. So yeah, when those ponds increase, they do come over there. It floods it for a day or two after rain. That's just the reality of how those were designed. I changed that moving forward so that we can kind of get those underneath the trail so that you don't have that issue. But I run along the backside of that all the time, and yeah, the day after rain, it's slippery and it's a little wet, but it does dry up after a day or two. So that's kind of by design and by code. So trying to fix that moving forward. Next slide. All right, William Cannon. Bullhorn lanes are opening very, 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 very soon. We haven't finished the landscaping. We finished the landscaping. We got the county out here to accept. The landscaper broke most of the sidewalk. So we have to replace all the panels, all but 250 panels of sidewalk that got cracked before. So that's what you've seen out there this last week is people replacing all those. It's going to finish sometime this week, next week. And as soon as that happens, the county's supposed to be out there and they'll give us the blessing. We'll open it. As far as are we going to restripe it? No. There's a few things that might have to get restriped to make it function the way it's supposed to, but everything's to county standard and they are accepting it. We'll sweep it. We'll make it pretty. We'll pull off the cones. So we should have that open. As far as speed limits go there, we kind of went over this last time about how speed limits work in Travis County. It is backwards as it can get, but it is the place in which we all live. So what they want is once we have it 4 full lanes, we let the traffic regulate. Then we do a study on it. And then we can recommend this is what speed limit we think is safe and likely they take our recommendations once it gets to that point. So that's where we're sitting as far as having a speed limit and having a slower speed limit that I know everybody wants here. So I'm telling you, we're 6 to 7 months away from that. We've got to open up the road and we got to press our agenda on them and get that done. There's no plans right now to put up any more fences or barricades along Knob Hill. I know there was a high-speed chase, and I know somebody was going the wrong way down William Cannon. I am not going to be flippant about this. It was scary for people that were there, but there is nothing Brookfield can do about that. If criminals are running from the law and they do things, there's only so much that we can do. So no plans right now to add any other walls or barricades along William Cannon. There's also no plans to install any more lights. It's well lit once you get past Colton Bluff. There's 2 that are out. I'm fixing that. Kind of on the eastern side, there's not on the western side. All of that is There is no code on it. It's what we'd like. That stuff was built a while back. We'll look at it and see. Everybody's got headlights. I mean, I grew up in the country. The headlights on cars work. So it's true. And if you ever were worried about it, you just slow down a little bit and then they work even better. But again, not to be flippant, we will look at it. And if it seems to be an enduring problem on kind of the western side of William Cannon, the western half, we'll look and see what we can do to add more lights. But let's just let this kind of play out a little bit and see what the traffic looks like with 4 lanes and see if we actually have more issues rather than just ideas of issues. So again, we'll monitor it. And then the tower at 183, we had a big party yesterday to get the thing lit and programmed. And that's all it comes down to. We have a very highly technical, sophisticated system that's getting installed by a landscape contractor. And it's just tricky to match those two together. So by God, we're going to have that thing lit pretty soon. You'll know whenever you see it lit up. So anyways, that's where we're at on that. It's almost there. All right, some safety issues. Man, I am coming off kind of like just have opinions about this. All right, Finial and Hillock. I go through this intersection all the time. This is where I live. I go through it all the time. I don't know what's unsafe about this intersection. Every time I pull up to it, I stop at the stop sign. I look to the left and right, and if there's no traffic, I proceed. That's how I was taught when I was 16 years old. Guys, we're not doing anything with that intersection. It functions correctly if you stop there. If you ever have questions about the people that are traveling down Finial, just wait and let them pass and then go. So keep your eyes open. There's picture of proof that we have speed limit signs. I get told often there's no speed limit signs on Finial. There they are. We put them up. Yes.
It's not Hillock. The issue's Finial. I live up there.
I know
it's 60 miles an hour. You can wait for it, but also it goes across by an elementary school.
And we put up school zones, and you can see that.
What if you just put 2 stop signs at Hillock?
So I can't do that. That's Travis County Road.
That would slow it down.
It would, but it's not, certain roads have primacy over the others. So Finial has primacy over Hillock and Moonbeam, and Travis County's not gonna put a stop sign there, and I don't think I necessarily want to. Now, I will tell you, we don't have a slide on it today, but we had it last time, that once we put Coda Vista there, and once there's a disconnect there, Finial is gonna slow down a lot because it's no longer gonna be the cutout to just get to 1625. So that will slow down things a lot
So that
when we build on it. Yeah, whenever that's severed there, I think there's gonna be a lot less people that are just trying to get out to 1625 that way. They'll all push it to William Cannon, which is built with houses a little bit further back to slow down, not slow down the traffic, but that road can handle a little bit more. So Finial is a little bit faster than it should be, but that's by nature of people trying to use that to cut out of there.
And when do you think that about?
Coda Vista,
Yeah.
that
Cutting that.
final connection there, I mean, I'm trying to do that in the first half of next year.
Okay.
So I mean, it's coming, so.
Stop sign is stop sign, I understand that, but apparently a lot of people don't. So could they put up maybe those flags that say like this is a 2-way stop, just because, I mean, if they're, because I've seen a couple crashes there
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
and the cars are ending up in people's front yard. Possibly next one could be in someone's living room. So
There's no sign that says it's only a 2-way stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could do the cross traffic design.
Yeah, we'll look at that. That's
The cross
pretty
traffic doesn't stop, might be something I can
standard, so,
flip it.
yeah.
Let me talk to the traffic engineer and see if I can get anything more than what we have there
Okay.
on that. I know for a fact we're not gonna put a stop sign on Finial.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. They're not gonna go for it. But as far as making sure that people can stop there, I mean, trust me, I've come across the same ones, and every time I go, I don't get how this is dangerous, but
yeah,
proof's in the pudding. So we'll see what we can do. Like, I'm hoping that whenever we put Coda in there, that actually changes the dynamic of that road. That's the idea.
That's where they're hauling ass.
So-
They're coming that in, by the time they get to that intersection,
I don't-
they're going very fast. A lot.
Yeah, questions. We're almost done. So, yeah.
Anything like stop ahead.
The actual stop ahead. Like I said, let me go back with our traffic engineer and just say like, hey, what can we do? What can we do legally? What's within our realm? And some things they have Travis County has very strong opinions about, and then other stuff they're just kind of like that dip sign that's a block up in Hillock. I put that. We didn't, we just like we need dip signs.
Yeah.
Like, you need to know that that's coming. So there's certain things we can do, but there's other things when you start messing with stop signs. If I do something outside the law and then there's a red, then it comes back to people that put up signs without permission. So we'll check into what we can do, okay? All right, right now, there's no plans for lights or cameras at the mailboxes. This is something I'm not just gonna like pawn the soft one, but it's one of these where I've been down this with other HOAs and stuff. I mean, like cameras and things on common space areas is just, that's an increased cost. And there's a lot of stuff that goes with that. And I don't know if there's actually a correlation between things stopping and having cameras. So that's definitely something that us as the developer are not looking to do. I don't believe the HOA is looking at doing that right now, but there's no plans for it now. Again, when this is completely homeowner run and everyone wants to pay more money to have more security and more cameras and things like that, that's totally up to the people at the time. And right now, we don't have any plans to monitor mailboxes. I will tell you that the reason we don't have mail in Pilot and Prospect Park right now is because USPS has redone how they give out the master locks because of all the thefts. So that's actually the reason that we're delayed right now, is because they're trying to approach that issue a different way. Easton Park will never be a gated community, ever. I can say that with utmost certainty. The PUD that gives us the right to have this neighborhood is all based on the idea that this is public and everything is open to everyone. We have the privilege to do one neighborhood as a gated enclave that we will see what the market gives us. If there's some reason we have some kind of elevated neighborhood somewhere in the future, but it will not be quote unquote all of Easton Park. Every road that we have outside of a few in the condos is Travis County owned, Travis County maintained, turned over the moment that we build it. So Easton Park will never be gated. The complexes, the apartment complex, it's totally up to them because then that's a different situation. So those are the gates you'll see, but Easton Park as a whole will never be gated. So there we have it. Increased Travis County presence. We get this question every town hall. What are we doing? Bring Travis County Sheriff out here for stuff. I see the list of things: speeding, parking. I don't know if they're enforcing parking. I don't know if you're going to get the sheriff to come out here for an off-leash dog. A lot of this, and again, not to be cheap, but this is people policing people. You know, get to know your neighbors. Be a friendly person. Be a good human. Worry about yourself first, and then start worrying about other people. And hopefully, collectively, we all drive a little bit better. People respect the rules of the parking and stuff like that. But I think Stephanie does a good job of bringing the sheriff in here on a regular basis to get people familiar with how they work, what they come out for, things like that. We're definitely on their radar because we are in a rougher part of Austin, but we are a kind of a beacon out here as ourselves. So Travis County knows we're here. We'll keep doing those things that we can do. And then finally, Thaxton Road. I know it's garbage. That's not actually construction damage. That's because the road is failing. The county has a project to make that road not crappy and expand it. They were on track, but they hit some road bumps that were self-inflicted. So as soon as they start that, that will fix it. The traffic signal there, if it seems like that's going to be delayed, we're going to push for a temporary signal there. If not, you're not going to get a signal at Thaxton and Slaughter until that road project gets completed. So, but trust me, I go through that intersection all the time, and I know it's awful, but got to let their project play out. So, yes.
And Sassman as well, yeah.
Well, Sassman, I'm fixing, and that one's, let's call it 2026, but well, I mean, it's whenever we go and whenever we start building south of Slaughter, that's a part of the neighborhood we're building there is also fixing Sassman. So the county knows that we're planning to rehab the whole thing, and so they're not gonna, I'm pushing them to try to get out there and do something, because trust me, Sassman sucks. Thaxton, if you go McKenzie, once you leave here, all those roads are falling apart. A lot of it had to do with the extreme heat, sucking even more moisture out of there, and everything's crumbling. Everyone's aware. I bring it up every time I talk to the county, but they should maintain the roads better. So that's as much influence we have. But to be honest, I thought that I had carried a big stick, but they said it's homeowners. So if you got a problem with here, reach out to the county and tell them how unacceptable it is that all the roads are bad.
You know, they just voted yes with like 80%.
Yeah, there was some proposition that was going to fix all the problems. So yeah, you should write them and tell them you're ready for the repairs that are coming. So.
Was that part of the road plan on the bond?
Yeah, I can speak to the one in Thaxton. It's coming, it's slow, but nothing. And in Sassman, Brookfield is going to be doing that. So I know the county's not looking to fix it because they know that we're gonna build it when we build it. So, all right, next slide. I think I just have one more. Commercial updates, a lot of the same stuff. The 3 pads that are there, there's difficulty with McDonald's and AutoZone taking them, that they thought they were gonna already have it in their hands, but they're saying that's Q1 of next year, then getting it. Whereas the car wash, you see a sign up there saying coming soon. So once they're in their possession, I mean, they usually run on them. They don't like to sit there and hold on a revenue producer not building on it. So you should see all 3 of those early next year start popping up. And then the 6th bay development there in the middle, that one's going to be completed. It got bumped a little bit, so that's more at the beginning of Q2 next year when it's going to be completed. But they're taking leases now. They actually, I talked to the broker just yesterday. He said they did get a number of ideas from people to this meeting or the community reaching out. He said they're up for everything. To be frank, there was a lot of people that didn't hold up to the scrutiny of credit limits and things like that, because they're looking for people that are going to be there for a while and hold it down. So it's a little level of what we're looking there. I don't know any more details than that, other than if you have ideas, you got companies, your brother owns a thing that wants to be there and stuff. First Hartford is the broker, and they're open to any ideas they can get there as far as tenants that want to be there. Yes,
2 questions. One, what's the price per square foot that they're charging for those?
I do not know.
2, any of these businesses pay taxes that somehow flow back into our pool of money?
I cannot speak to that parcel because that got sold well before I was here. I do know that the ones going forward, we have agreements to make sure that they are paying mud taxes. So, and mud taxes definitely come back to us as far as.
Is that a fixed percent or
Say what?
is that a fixed percentage every year?
I don't want to quote the wrong thing, but it's an agreement that we make sure that they're essentially any one of us paying mud taxes. That they're covering them. Idea School, same broker there. There has been movement on that, of that transferring hands from Idea School to the broker. Again, even though they've agreed to terms, it's until you close, it's not done. So they're closing at the end of next year, but they're trying to move forward with pre-leases and solidifying what it's going to be. So we're going to work with them next year of trying to find the right mix. When it's all said and done, Brookfield doesn't have a say on it because it'll be their property. However, they want our say on it. And the idea is to get the right mix there that gives y'all what y'all want, balanced with what we can actually lease out, what we think is gonna, I said what they think they can actually do, because we got a test case right in front of things that we think would be very lucrative and people would want to be there, and it's not hitting the way that we thought. So we got some other strategies, but we'll work through then that pad over the course of next year. It'll be the same thing. Y'all will want to know what it is, and we'll don't say anything, even though we might have people on the hook. So you'll probably won't hear from me for at least a year on like, this is coming, this is going to happen, but it's something that is progressing next year. I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating to me too. I want some other stuff out here, but it's the patience that we need to get the right people here. And the other thing is, like, if the market doesn't give it to you, it's not there. There's a lot of things I wish were here. If they don't want to, if Trader Joe's doesn't want to be here, ain't nothing AJ Zorn's going to do about it to get them here. We're going to appeal to them, but trust me, the reach that our brokers have is far beyond anybody in this room. So we're aiming for that. There's a question about what's behind Union Park West. I don't know exactly what that question is, what it's behind, but there's KB Homes that's fully built out. There's the food truck park that's over there. There's Union Park that I said is going under construction. And then the stuff that's across McKinney Falls, as I said, I read all the same things on the internet. So y'all do what we think's there. I don't have any real insight to what's going on. So
who's in charge of the commercial? We have someone we want to.
For both the site that's sitting out there and the Idea School, it's First Hartford is the broker.
What is it?
First Hartford.
First part.
And no kidding, you reach out to them and say, hey, I live in Easton and I got an idea what can go there. I got some people that would like to talk to you. And like, I talked to the broker and he goes, I don't know, I fielded a handful of calls and we went through the process. They didn't work out, but we mentioned this last town hall and people did reach out to him. So, and actually First Hartford you can get to, but I also think it's CLR. I think they're doing some of their brokerage as well inside there. So either one of those groups can get you there.
What did you, the Brookfield, or any developers know about a grocery store? I heard HEB's got land, they got land everywhere, but I mean.
They are progressing pretty far on the site that's next to us. However, I've heard that it doesn't show up on their immediate capital outlay because they're so popular and they're growing so fast that it's actually an HEB issue with their bandwidth of how many stores they can open in a year. So I hear that we are no kidding on the list. Where we're at on the list, I'm not sure, but I've heard on somewhat good account that it's progressing more than they just kind of own the land there. It's like there's an interest there, but we're not on their capital outlay yet. So
Recently, Joe was assigned a petition. It's going to.
So we of random things, some of the people we've talked to actually represent Trader Joe's. I asked about them specifically, and they said Trader Joe's likes to be somewhere a little bit more established. So the thing is that HEB, if they come here, that will help significant. It'll signal to a lot of people. It'll probably push out people like Walmart and Target. They won't want to be around, but for smaller people like Trader Joe's, that might actually signal like, hey, we would like to be in the same place there as HEB thinks it is. So it's a big old moving target, which we definitely play a piece in it. We're trying to guide the ship to where we want to, but a lot of the things just depend on what the market gives us. So, with that said, that was the last thing, future commercial. It is coming. The idea is like, are y'all just going to do houses and just leave it alone? No, we have a number of commercial sites down at Faxton and Slaughter, both over near 183 and then the town center, whatever that eventually winds up being. There's going to be a number of commercial sites around here. What the flavor it takes will have to be. So. All right. All I got.
So we have just a little bit of time for some questions.
Why don't we do these two online first?
Okay. So it says, will we get a copy of the PowerPoint slides? This recording will actually be posted so everybody can actually see that with the presentation that will be there. So we'll make sure that'll actually probably go out tomorrow, and it'll also go in the newsletter, so y'all can always go back. Are the groundskeepers or landscapers supposed to clean the complete front lawn, including the weeds growing through the flower bed upon the mulch? I'm assuming this is going to be for our condos, a question from the condos. They do come through and mow and blow the yards. They will treat the weeds just based off of pre-emergent and post-emergent. They do not get out. They are not going to hand pull the weeds. That is kind of the responsibility of the owners to do anything that's in between with the services that they are providing. And then will you collaborate with officials and get street sweepers to clean roads near our residential construction sites to help prevent unexpected flat tires, building material nails on the roads that are causing flat tires?
We regularly sweep, and it's still not enough, so we'll keep that going.
Yeah, and when it comes to the street sweeping, they are on a schedule. Street sweeping happens in active construction areas. So once the construction area is completely done, it is done a final clean, and then it goes on. There may still be some traffic from construction that's going on there. If you're having any issues, if you see any debris in the roadways, reach out to me directly, and we can absolutely work towards that. But street sweeping is only going to happen in active construction areas. Any other questions from the audience?
There's still more online. Will we get a groovy and fun mountain bike trail? Downhill mountain biking? I don't think we have a mountain. But we do have trails that again are big enough for bikes and pedestrians alike. What triggers things like Google Maps getting updated with streets addresses hard to get deliveries? So they have a little area where you can go and say, can you please update my address? That's literally the only path anybody has. Even as a developer, we can't get them to, they still send traffic at one of our communities through a back gate, which is for residents only. It's been 6 years of us updating them, and they still haven't done it. So luckily they're very quick about addresses instead of the way they do directions. But yeah, that's all on y'all. Just you know, hit that little
We
button.
tried sending plats to them, and they don't want them.
Yeah, they're not too interested. Did the commercial developer give up? No. With what is taking, did they, I'm guessing this is the same person asking if they gave up. The apartments will, yeah, no, They didn't give up. It's just getting tenants. If you look at the news today, just in the last 12 to 18 months, getting commercial credit is pretty tough. And AJ was kind of talking about that, wanting to make sure that if there is a tenant that goes in there, that they're able to actually stay open, especially in tumultuous times like we have now in the commercial credit industry. So that's starting to calm down. Interest rates are going down, and hopefully soon. But yeah, that's kind of the big issue is a lot of these places just can't afford it, so they're not leasing buildings. So that's all the questions online. Any questions in here?
I can have some home like pest control guy every month if I need free sprays in between reporting sprays.
So we have pest control that comes out every single month. And if there's anything that's outside of what they normally spray for, then we just need to submit that request. Just shoot me an email. I saw the question that came through on there, but if there's anything, oh. But yes, we do have pest control that comes out here every single month. Anything else? Well, all right. Yes. Sure.
Sorry, I'm new here. This is my first meeting.
Well, welcome.
I mean, have you been down William Canyon? We're out, we're more on the edge of town than, and we're not up tucked away some stuff. So there's areas just closer to I-35 really is there. And so I don't think things are any worse here than they are anywhere else. I think sometimes you just kind of get in your head that things are bad. I don't find this place to be a high crime area. I know stuff happens, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in a lot of places. But like I said, I think not just squeaky wheel, but we've made a deliberate effort to reach out to the county sheriff and say like, hey, we want you out here. We want you meeting people. What can we do and stuff? So as much as within their bandwidth and their budget, Travis County Sheriff is out here in Easton Park. You know?
Yeah, you're on the corner of you're on the border of being out further into the country. So there's still big pieces of land out here that are owned by families. So you'll hear gunshots, right? But that's just folks on their land shooting their guns. This is Texas. It happens, even in with an Austin zip code. So you're kind of on that border. So you're gonna see that. You're gonna see the wild hogs and armadillo and all that out here. No. This is. I think he said rural. I think he said more rural than
I said
rough.
rough, but it's
rough.
all relative to what you know.
Let's not. We won't use that term anymore ever. It is not rough. Yeah, Easton Park is far from rough.
Yeah.
I grew up in South LA. That's rough. In the 80s when it was rough. So yeah.
Well, if y'all have any questions, anything afterwards, please reach out to me directly. I'm always happy to help. And again, just you'll see some updates come out. One with this recording of town hall, but also about Spark, and then all the good fun stuff that's coming into 2024. So sure. We are actually looking at a more permanent fix for this. Yes.
Yeah. So part of that, the budget she said in there where it was, we have a capital dollars for a project. That's the project, is to do something more permanent.
Yes.
Yeah. Those things were 300-ish a piece, each umbrella. So times that by 20 plus umbrellas being replaced every year. We're looking for a more permanent solution. Yeah.
Yes. So we're currently right now for the master, we're right at about 1,800 doors. And then between our condos, we're looking at probably closer to about 500 between all of them, maybe closer to 600 between all of it right now.
What's the target?
When we're completely built out,
12,000.
we're gonna, yeah.
And that's a mixture of 6,000 to 8,000 owned homes and then rentals for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah. So we're saying up to 12,000 total doors.
Gotcha.
So that's not people live with someone else, then it could be more than that. So when Easton's built out, it's its own
A small city.
town.
Yeah, they say you pretty much take about 2.5 people. You count that number by the number of doors, which is how many we'll have out here. It's a lot.
Is there a cap on the HOA dues? No, so you can't, as an HOA can't charge more than they need to maintain. So right now we're at 5% every year because we need to catch up. We need to catch up on reserves and we need to stop borrowing that subsidy. It's $1,100,000 this year. So we need to stop borrowing money from the developer. So once we stop doing that, then it's a little easier. Like I said, when we went to the condos, I said, now condos, you're not going to hear me say you're going to get expect a 5% because they've already done that. So now it's just whatever that cost increases every year by the vendors. Landscaping's your largest vendor out here, and this year it's $1,037,000 is their contract. So, and then second is staffing. The staffing budget's probably about $1.2 million as well as out here. So those are your two biggest costs. Your staffing isn't going to skyrocket, and your landscaping typically is 1% to 2% every few years, unless it's COVID, and then you can't hire anybody, and that kind of messes with the landscaping business. Because we get a lot of folks from across the border. There's a program where they come over legally and they work for the landscape company. So it's very tough during COVID for the landscape company. So landscaping costs skyrocketed, and we as the developer covered that here, so we didn't skyrocket everybody's dues, knowing that it would eventually settle down, which it did. So I say 5% until we meet that goal, and then once we hit that goal, it's whatever. It could be 1%, it could be nothing. We could even, 1 year it might go down a percentage or two. It all just kind of depends. Yeah. Yeah, and that's how we do, when you do a large scale development like this, you create what's called a build out budget in the beginning. So 7 years ago, I sat down the management company and said, okay, what's your projections for what this is going to look like? I'm not going to lie, they were pretty off. And we did a lot of retooling of that over the next couple of years. And now we have a really good build out budget, and it's been tracking the last 3 years. It's been tracking. So it is taken into account. So that build out budget puts all those additional units in, which is why we can keep that number closer to 5%, not go up higher. And this is a long development, right? This is a 20+ year development. So, there's some developer contribution there. Yeah, we got some time left. Yeah.
When I toured somebody today, if you go down Apogee and you hit Sassman, you're sitting at that stop sign and you look ahead, everything that you can see is Easton Park.
Yeah.
Literally from that view, if you look left or right, everything you can see is Easton. So it's got a ways.
Yeah, I've been here. So Bryant Park was done. I think the last 2 homes were being built in Bryant Park, and Nob Hill had just started up when I started here. So I've seen this place grow, and it's been 6 years, and we're not even a 10th done, right? So there's some legs still on this community for sure. Not 50 years, that's for sure. But we'd be out of jobs. Mike and I would be out of jobs. This development took 50 years. Actually, AJ would be too.
I'll be here for mailboxes, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank y'all very much. Think of anything afterwards, please feel free to reach out to me. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.